What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you basically how we are going to be building a squad. In this case I'm going to be using a 4-3-1-2 formation. So this is the formation. So that's the formation I basically use. So how are you going to build a team in this formation? So first and foremost, I'm going to be starting with the goalkeeper. So for the goalkeeper, I recommend you to use an offensive goalkeeper like Alisson, Manuel, Christensen and so on and so forth. So for the goalkeeper, I'm going to be putting my official goalkeeper. This is my official goalkeeper. Then for the bench goalkeeper, I'm going to be putting Alisson because he has high stat than Manuel. So before moving on to the central back, so make sure your goalkeeper are not short goalkeepers. What do I mean by short goalkeepers? Like De Vrij is a short goalkeeper. His height is 183 centimeter. So it is he is very short, and short keeper tends to conceive ridiculous shots. But if you use a taller keeper, you would be able to save those shots. Like this my goalkeeper, my official goalkeeper. His height is 191. He is very tall. If any shot come from anywhere, he can be able to catch it. And make sure your goalkeeper height should be at least 187 centimeter above for their height. So that was all for the goalkeeper. So moving on to the central backs. Central back usually use one build up and one destroyer. So for the build up, firstly we are going to be using I recommend you to use Bastoni for the build up. Bastoni is a very strong player with high stat. And for the destroyer, you can use any destroyer for the central back, but they must have a good start. Like Ruby Diaz, I'm going to be putting him here for the destroyer. While on my bench, I'm going to be putting Van Dijk for my bench build up. And for my destroyer, I'm going to be putting this guy or Araju for my destroyer. So don't forget destroyer for don't forget one destroyer for the central back. So don't forget one destroyer for the central back, then the other one build up for the central back. And also make sure that your destroyer and your build up, make sure that they are top players like 188 centimeters and 190 centimeters above. So that's what we're going to be using for the central back. So moving on to the right back and the left back. Right back and the left back. So make sure you are going to be using two backup offensive fullback. In this case, you are going to be using Hakimi, Arnold on the right back, while on the other left back, like on the left back, you are going to be using Mendes, Hernandez, Dimarco, so on and so forth sha. So you can also use defensive fullback too as well. So we're going to put the right back, right. So we're going to be using Hakimi for the right back, the offensive right back. While for the bench, I'm going to be using I'm going to be using Kunde for the bench. I'm going to be using Kunde for the bench. While for the left back, I'm going to be using Nuno Mendes. And for the bench, I'm going to be using Hernandez. You can also use defensive fullback as well. They're perfectly fine. But if you are using defensive fullback, you will kind of get stuck a lot. So that's why I'm always using offensive fullback for the other side. So moving on to the defensive midfielder. So for my defensive midfielder, I officially use David Beckham for my defensive midfielder. This is his art, this is his pushing craft, this is his skills, his player skills, the additional skills that he gave him. So he's playing central midfielder, and I'm putting defensive on him in individual instruction. Putting defensive on him. So basically what will happen is that he will be acting like an anchorman in this very position by covering this very side of the whole player and the roaming flank or box to box or whatever you use in that other side. So we'll be covering their position in case they've already pushed forward or in case they're attacking. So we'll be in that very position. So note that sorry about that. So know that your DMF is your CMF. So he's playing as a DM on this very side, and that is the only individual instruction I use in this formation. The only individual instruction I use on him in this very formation. Then his sub is going to be an anchor man that's going to replace him. So I'm going to be using Rodri. I'm going to be using Rodri as his replacement for sub. He's an anchor man. This is the start. His physical contact is very high too as well. This is his skills, player skills and the additional skills. So for these two central back, I'm going to be using a whole player in this position, and the whole player is going to be is a whole player. That's a good start. He can play well in the position. So I'm going to put him in this side. You can also put Pedri as well if you have Pedri. But I love starting with Ronaldo Fernandez. So in the bench, you're going to be putting Pedri. Pedri is going to be replacing him. Then in the other side, so in this other side, I'm going to be putting this player. This is one of my best player. Is Kudus. His position is roaming flank. You can also put box to box or castrators, but you cannot put two player in these two sides. So that's why I'm putting this guy in this place. So for the bench, I'm going to be putting Vitinha for the bench. So make sure that you don't use two O player for these two center midfielder. Make sure you don't CMF rather. Make sure you don't put two O player. Instead, you put one O player. Then the other side you can put box to box or orchestrators. So moving on to the AMF. This AMF, Messi is the best attacking midfielder for this AMF. So you are going to be putting Messi, we are going to be including Messi to this position because Messi has the 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 good start. For the bench, you're going to be putting I'm going to be putting Ribery for my bench. I'm officially using. It's good as I'm putting him. He's a creative maker too for the bench. Or you can put a whole player as well too. But always put creative playmaker. So and again always make sure that their physical contact is always high. Both the CEMF always make sure that they have high physical contact. So now I'm moving to the two central forward. So for the two central forward, you make sure you use one, at least you use one advanced striker. Like this Ferran Torres now, it's an advanced striker. You use at least one in this very side. Let me include the advanced striker. Let me remove this. So for my advanced striker, I'm going to be using Gribe for my advanced striker because he's the strongest among all my teammates. And again, he's very tall. It's good for a header. His physical contact is very high too. This is the creative craft that I put on him. This is his skills, his additional skills. So I'm putting Gribe for this position. Then I'm going to be putting a goal poacher. Like Alan is a goal poacher. He's also tall, 194. Wow. I'm going to be putting Alan in that position of Kane. Okay. I have one Alan in my so going to replace him. So for the bench, I'm going to be putting Ferran Torres and Mbappe for the advanced striker. And the other side, you can put any playing skills too. So you can put any strong player that you have in your bench. So of course, your manager. For my manager for now, I'm using Xabi Alonso. My manager. I'm using quick counter. If you did enjoy my video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.